האם זה באמת סגולה בדוקה? הסגולה ללמוד בזה?
Good evening, Erev Tov, Dober V'Yetcher. We're in the Zera Shimshon on Parsha Berashis. We've completed, of course, the cycle of the Torah and come back around to Parsha Berashis to begin the Torah again with great enthusiasm and excitement. We're going to do Os Yud Daled, section number 14. Before we get into it, we're going to take a look at three psukim. One is from Parsha Berashis, and then two other psukim are from other places in the Torah, one sefer Shmos, one sefer Devarim. So let's take a look at the psukim and jump right in. This is the first pasuk we're going to look at is Sefer Berashis, Parak Beis, pasuk Daled. Eile soldos hashamayim v'ha'aretz b'hibaram. These are the products of the heavens and the earth when they were created. B'yom asos Hashem Elokim eretz v'shamayim. On the day that Hashem Elokim made the earth and the heavens. That's the first pasuk. Next pasuk from Shmos, Parak Aleph, pasuk Aleph, the first pasuk can say for Shmos. Ve'ele Shmos b'nei Yisrael, and these are the names of b'nei Yisrael, Haboim Mitzrayma, who came to Mitzrayim, Eis Yaakov, with Yaakov, Ish uveso ba'u. Each man with his household they came. And then the third pasuk is from Devarim, and we'll see another use of the word Eile, right? We saw Eile Soldos, we saw Ve'ele Shmos, B'nai Yisrael, and now here comes another one. This is Sefer Devarim, Perak Daled, pasuk Mem He. Eile ha'edos ve'hachukim ve'hamishpatim. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments. Asher diber Moshe el B'nai Yisrael, that Moshe spoke to B'nai Yisrael, bitzei sum, Mitzrayim, when they went out of Mitzrayim. So right off the bat, on the simplest level, we see that all three psukim have start with the word Eile, these, and the Zera Shimshon is going to talk about these psukim and explain to us how they fit together. Os Yud Daled, section 14, Medrash al Pasuk. The Medrash in the Shmos Rabbah, the Medrash Rabbah on Sefer Shmos, comments on the pasuk, the first of our psukim, Eile soldos hashamayim v'ha'aretz b'hibaram. These are the products of the shamayim and the aretz, the heavens and the earth, when they were created. Medrash says, B'zechus mi omdim, in the merit of who, in whose merit do these things, meaning the shamayim and the aretz, stand? In whose merit do the shamayim and the aretz exist? Answer, B'zchus Eile Shmos B'nei Yisrael, and the merit of the people mentioned in the second pasuk that also starts with the word Eile. These are the names of B'nei Yisrael. So it's in the merit of B'nei Yisrael that the Shamayim and the Aretz are maintained. Ve'eile b'zchus mi omdim, and these, meaning referring to B'nei Yisrael from the second pasuk, in whose merit do they stand? Do they exist? In whose merit to B'nai Yisrael continue to exist, bizchus, in the merit of the third pasuk, Eile ha'edos ve'hachukim v'hamishpatim. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments. Ad kan l'shono, until here is the quote from the Medrash Rabbah. And the Zera Shimshon says very concisely, Vehu tamuha. And this statement in the Medrash is hard to understand. It is baffling. And the reason it's baffling is because at first glance, there's no obvious connection between these three psukim, and there's certainly no obvious connection to explain how they all three fit together and seem to be interdependent and dependent upon one another. So the Zera Shimshon just says, this is hard to understand. Then, of course, in the next paragraph, he's going to begin to put the pieces together and explain everything to us. Ve'hasignon hu koch. And the basic approach is as follows. De be'ele soldos hashamayim ve'ha'aretz yesh kusha. On our first pasuk about the products of shamayim and the aretz, there's a problem. Omnam, however, b'pasuk ve'ele shmos b'nei Yisrael, with the pasuk of Eile shmos b'nei Yisrael, our second pasuk, top of the next column, Tihiyeh misoretzes. The question is answered. So there's going to be a question on the first pasuk, which of course the Zera Shimshon will momentarily present us that question. There's going to be a problem, but the second pasuk will help us answer that problem. Va'adayin b'pasuk ve'ele shmos tipo bo kushacheres. But still, we're not going to be okay, because on the second pasuk there's a different question, different from the first question. The tsiya misoretzes b'pasuk, and the question, the second pasuk, will be answered with the third pasuk. Eile ha'edos ve'achukim v'hamishpatim. So the Zera Shimshon is telling us that the three psukim, in fact, are going to be shown to fit together and to be dependent upon each other, because the problem with the first pasuk can be answered with the second pasuk, and the problem with the second pasuk can be resolved with the third pasuk. So we have a nice little set of psukim that support each other and help explain the issues that arise one in another. Next paragraph. De Amrinan b'Yalkut, because we say in the Yalkut Shimoni on Parshas Berashis, on our Parsha, Rabbi Elazar b'Rebbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, says, Shamayim v'oretz shekulim heim, the heavens and the earth are equal. That's a very powerful and significant, remarkable statement, because certainly we would assume that the Shamayim are far superior to the Aretz. But no, Rabbi Elazar teaches us, Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon, Shamayim va'aretz shekulim heim. The heavens and the earth are equal. Shaharei lif'amim makdim shamayim la'aretz, because we see that sometimes the Torah puts the word shamayim before the word aretz, the heavens before the earth. V'lif'amim makdim eretz le'shamayim. And sometimes the Torah puts the word for earth, eretz, before the word for shamayim. So since the Torah sometimes talks about one first and sometimes talks about the other first, and it seems to be somewhat interchangeable, Rabbi Elazar concludes that there are equal in value and worth, and in a certain respect, they're shkulim, they're equal, and that's why the Torah can put one shamayim before aretz and aretz before shamayim. The kosher. But there's a problem here, okay? And this is the problem that the Zera Shimshon referenced a moment ago when he said there's a problem on the first pasuk. So this is that problem. How can it be that the heavens and the earth are equal? Continuing to the next page, top first paragraph on the right. We say, Chazal say in the beginning of the Medrash on sefer Vayikra Rabbah, Shoha Elyonim Yecholim La'amod B'Safkido Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The upper beings, meaning the celestial malachim, the celestial beings, are able to stand in the mission, in the task that Hashem has given them. The malachim are able, and the celestial beings are able to consistently and always do whatever it is that Hashem commands them to do. Avol hatachtonim, but those in the lower realms, human beings, for example, enom yecholim lamod b'safkido shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They are not able to stand consistently and always do what Hashem commands them to do. So how can the Shamayim and the Aretz be equal? How can they possibly be viewed as equal when the inhabitants of the upper realms of the Shamayim always do what Hashem wants and have no problem with it, and human beings, as we know, are extremely fallible and extremely mistake prone and attracted to sin and transgression, etc. So how in the world can they be equal? That's the question. V'tzarech lomar, and we have to say, next paragraph, shelegabe hatzadikim nikru shkulim, that it's specifically in reference to the righteous people of this world, not all human beings, but specifically regarding the righteous people. Then we can say that the Shamayim and the Aretz, the heavens and the earth, are viewed as equal. The Isa b'Yoma, because the Gemara in Maseches Yoma states, Amar Rabbi Elazar said, Bishvil tzadik echad, for the sake of one righteous individual, Olam nivra, the world is created just because of one righteous person. So we see that when we talk about all of humankind, it would be hard to equate, more than hard, really impossible seemingly to equate the two, the Shamayim and the Aretz. But when we talk about tzaddikim, the righteous people who are wholly and totally committed to Hashem and the Torah and the mitzvos, then we can make the equation between the Shamayim and the Aretz. V'zehu she'amru, and this is what it meant in the Medrash when it said, Eile soldos hashamayim v'ha'aretz, these are the products of the heavens and the earth, b'schus mi nikru ushkulim u'ru'uyim l'shevach, in whose merit were the shamayim and the aretz, the heavens and the earth, equated and said to be appropriate to receive praise, bishvil ve'ele shmos b'nei Yisrael. It was on behalf of the people referred to in the pasuk ve'ele shmos b'nei Yisrael. These are the names of b'nei Yisrael. Shahayu tzadikim, because at that time in that pasuk, when it was referring to the family of Yaakov Avinu, his children and their families coming down to Mitzrayim, they were tzadikim, they were righteous people. Uperish Rashi Shom, and Rashi actually explains on that pasuk, lehodia chiboson. This pasuk is telling us that Hashem's love for them, shenimshelu lakochavim, the children of Yaakov Avinu and their families were being compared to stars, shemotzion umachnison b'mispar uv'shemosam, who Hashem takes out and brings in with their number and with their name. So Rashi makes it clear to us, in case we didn't understand it on our own, that the people mentioned in that pasuk, ve'ele shmos b'nei Yisrael, they were exceedingly righteous. They were tzaddikim of the highest level, and therefore they are the ones on whose behalf the Shamayim and the Aretz are existing, and they are the ones who allow for the comparison and the equality to be made between Shamayim and Aretz. Next paragraph. Kosher. However, there's still a problem. She'achsha, and this is the problem on the second pasuk about Eile Shmos B'nei Yisrael. She'achshav shira'inu sha'tzadikim heim chashuvim be'enei hamakom kemo ha'elyonim. Now that we have seen that the righteous people are considered significant in the eyes of Hashem, equal to the Elyonim, equal to the celestial beings, ve'od amru zichronim levracha, and more so, Chazal made a statement, Gedolim tzadikim yoser mimaloche hashores. Righteous individuals are even greater than the maloche hashores. So if that's the case, that they're equal, or that the tzaddikim are even considered greater, hodra kushas ha'oretz leduchta, then a question that, according to the Medrash, was asked by the earth, comes back to its place, means it returns in its power and its potency. We're going to have a problem we have to deal with, and we're going to learn about that problem right now. The Omrinon, because the Medrash says, Al pasuk v'ha'aretz hayasasohu vavohu, on the well-known pasuk from the beginning of our Parsha Berashis, that the world was void and formless. Sheha'aretz hayasabocha. The Medrash says at that time, when the world was in that condition, the earth was crying, ve'omeres, and it was saying, ha'elyonim ve'hatachtonim shkulim heim. The earth was saying, we've been taught that the upper world, the Shamayim, and the lower world, the Aretz, are equal. Umipnei mo ha'elyonim nehenim miziv hashchina. So why does the upper world benefit from the radiance of the Shechina, beli torach uveli omal, without any labor and without any toil? V'hatachtonim, and the people on earth, im enom yegeim enom ochlim. If they don't toil and work hard, they're not going to eat, meaning they're not going to benefit from the ziv hashchina, from the radiance of the Shechina, of Hashem's presence. Urechokim miziv hashchina, and they're going to be very distant and far removed from the Shechina unless they work with tremendous effort and strength to do Hashem's will and become close to Hashem and commit themselves to Hashem through hard commitment and discipline. They won't be able to benefit from the Ziv Hashchina. So the Medrash is telling us that the earth was pointing out a seeming dramatic lack of fairness, and that was that the Malachim in Shamayim could benefit seemingly readily and easily from the Ziv Hashchina, from the radiance of the Shechina, whereas the human beings down below on earth could only benefit from the Ziv Hashchina if they invested tremendous labor, work, energy, discipline, time, etc., and resources in doing the mitzvos and becoming close to Hashem. That doesn't seem fair if they're basically equal. Mishum hachi, because of this, teretz, we can answer with the third pasuk. Eleha eidos v'hachukim v'hamishpatim. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments. The Isa b'medrash, because it states in the medrash al pasuk, on the pasuk v'yikhuli truma, right in the beginning of Parshas Truma, Hashem says, and take for me a portion. Yesh lecha mikoch shemi shemacharo nimkar imo. There is a type of purchase, the medrash says, in which the one who sells it is sold along with it. So a purchase is made, a transaction is made, and in usual transactions, the person, the buyer pays and receives an object, receives something, receives the real estate, an object, receives something, and then goes away with it. But here, the Medrash says there's a type of purchase in which the purchaser not only gets the object, but also gets the seller. The seller comes along with the purchase. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said, top of the next column, Li Yisrael, to the Jewish people, Mocharti lachem Torasi, I sold to you my Torah, Kiviyochol nimkarti ima, and as a type of expression, if it were possible, I sold myself with it. Hashem sold himself and gave himself to Bnei Yisrael when he gave them the Torah. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, v'yikhu li truma. This is a midrashic interpretation of the pasuk. V'yikhu li, and they should take me, truma, as a portion, meaning that Bnei Yisrael took Hashem as their portion when they accepted the Torah. They didn't just get the Torah, which would have been an amazing gift all by itself, but when receiving the Torah, at Kabbalas HaTorah, the Jewish people got the Torah and they got Hashem with it. That's a bargain. That's a 2-for-1 sale that's pretty special. Od Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. So furthermore, Hashem explained to the Jewish people, Nasati lachem es HaTorah. I gave you the Torah. Lifrosh mimena eini yochol. To separate myself from the Torah, that I'm not able to do. Lomar lachem al titluha, and to say to you, don't take it, eini yochol, that I can't do. So Hashem had a kind of predicament. He gives the Jewish people the Torah. He doesn't want to separate from the Torah. He wants to stay with the Torah. And he also doesn't want to tell them, give me back the Torah, right? He wants to, his goal, his purpose was to give it to Bnei Yisrael. So what is Hashem to do? Ela b'chol makom she'atem holchim. Hashem says, but do this for me. And every place where you go, bayis echad asuli, build for me a house, she'odur b'socho, that I will dwell within it. So Hashem says, I need there to be a place where I can be with you in order to be with the Torah. I'm giving you the Torah, and I want to be near the Torah and want to be near the people keeping the Torah. So you need to make a place for me. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, ve'osuli mikdash, make for me a sanctuary, a mishkan originally, and then a Beis HaMikdash later. And Perhaps we can say this alludes to the synagogues that are called the Mikdash Ma'at, the little sanctuaries. Ad kan Lashono, until here is a quote from the Medrash. Im kain, if so, gam hatachtonim nehenem miziv hashchina. Also, people in the lower world, us human beings, benefit from the radiance of Hashem. If Hashem gave us the Torah and gave himself, so to speak, with the Torah and wants to dwell down here on earth, then we can benefit from the Ziv Hashchina, the radiance of Hashem's presence down on earth, not just in Shemayim. Shaharei ner mitzvah v'sora or, the pasuk in Mishlei says, every mitzvah is a ner, and the Torah is light. And so that's referring, the Zera Shimshon says, that's referring to the Ziv Hashchina, the radiance of the Shechina. When we observe the mitzvos and study the Torah, we are given the capability to benefit from the Ziv Hashchina, from the radiance of the Shechina down here on earth. The Adarabba, just the opposite. Not only do we get an opportunity, or an equal opportunity, Ikar Shechina Batachtonim, the primary location of the Shechina, once Hashem gave us the Torah, and when we observe the Torah, is down here on earth. Next paragraph. Ucheneget haTorah vehaomal yesh lahem schar yoser mimaloche hashares. Corresponding to the level of toil and hard work that a person invests in Torah and mitzvos, they will receive a greater reward than the Malache Hashares. So the Zera Shimshon doesn't want us to forget that powerful statement that we saw above, that tzaddikim are actually greater than Malache Hashares. How are they greater? Because through their hard work and effort and discipline, they can receive more word than the Malachi Ashares. Shedavka ha-chachomim, because it is specifically only the chachomim, the Talmidei chachomim, the Torah sages, al yedei ha-Torah, through their hard work, mechadshim ba-Torah, they come up with new ideas, novel ideas in Torah, ve'osim shamayim chadoshim ve'eretz chadosha, and this renews the Shamayim in the Aretz, it's as if they're creating a new heaven and earth. They're refurbishing, reforming the Shamayim in the Aretz when the Torah sages write and share and come up with Chidushay Torah, new ideas and that are authentically part of the Torah. Kanoda etzleinu, as is well known to us, and you can see that's a reference to the Zohar and the Kabbalah, meaning this idea that when the Talmidei Chachomim or Mechadesh ideas come up with new ideas in explaining Torah, this brings a newness and a freshness to the Shamayim and the Aretz. That's a Kabbalistic idea, the Zera Shimshon says. Lefi sheyesh lahem koach lesakein ha'olam, the Talmidei Chachomim have the ability to repair the spiritual damage that's come into the world. Ma'ashe'ein kein hamalachim. This does not apply to the malachi hashares, to the malachim. She'af im yechadshu b'Torah. Even if the malachim were able to produce novel ideas in understanding the Torah, einam osim shamayim chadoshim ve'eretz chadosha. They are not. Even then, they would not be said to helping recreate new shamayim and a new aretz. Ve'elu hashamayim ve'ha'aretz omdim b'schus hatorach she'osim hatzadikim b'Torah. The shamayim and the aretz, as we said in the very beginning, the medrash in the first paragraph, exist and are sustained in the merit of the work and effort and labor that the tzaddikim do in their observance and study of Torah. V'hainu, and this is the explanation. Now that we learned all of these different pieces of information that the Zera Shimshon shared with us, this is what it meant in that very first paragraph in the Medrash, Eile soldos hashamayim va'aretz. These are the products of the Shamayim va'aretz. That was the first passage that talked about Hashem creating the universe, the Bria Sa'olam. Eile shmos b'nei Yisrael, that was dependent on the b'nei Yisrael who were tzaddikim. And the tzaddikim, by observing the eidos and the chukim mishpatim, not only justify or support the existence of the world, they make it so that human beings are able to reach a level and receive a schar, a reward that's even greater than the Malachi Hashares. Next paragraph. V'zeh yiyeh perush hapasuk. And these ideas that the Zera Shimshon has developed will help us understand a pasuk in Yeshaya. I'm going to stop for a moment and read that pasuk to you, because the Zera Shimshon doesn't give the pasuk in its whole form. He breaks it up into little pieces, but I think it'll be helpful to hear the whole pasuk again in Yeshaya. You can see Perek Samech Havav pasuk Beis. Pasuk says, "Ve'es kol eile yodi osasa," and all of these my hand made. Vayiyu kol eile neum Hashem, and these will all be, says Hashem, or said Hashem. Ve'el zeh abit, and to this one I look. El oni uneche ruach, to a poor individual and someone who is broken in spirit. V'chored al divori, and this person is tremendously concerned to follow my words. That's the pasuk in Yeshaya, and we're going to see the Zera Shimshon is going to take this pasuk and show how it beautifully correlates and corresponds with the idea he's developed about the three psukim that we've been talking about and how they connect. So here we go. This that we've explained helps us understand a pasuk in Yeshaya. Ve'es kol eile yodi osasa. And that pasuk, as we just saw, starts off with the words, all of these, there's the eile, all of these my hand has made. De'hainu toldos hashamayim ve'ha'aretz. That's a reference to the pasuk about the products of the Shamayim and the Aretz. That's a reference to the fact that Hashem created the Shamayim and the Aretz, created everything. Vayiyu kol eile neum Hashem, and all of these things I brought into being, says Hashem. Dehainu, that part of the pasuk is a reference to our second pasuk in the first paragraph of these are the names of Bnei Yisrael. Ve'al zeh abit, and to this one I look, and to this one I gaze. The hainu hatachtonim yisalu b'madrego elyona. This is a reference to people in the lower world, human beings who can be raised to a high upper level. Sha'ani bichvodi abit bahem, that I, with my glory, look at them. Human beings from the lower world, from our world, can reach such a high level. Obviously, this is a reference to the greatest tzaddikim, as the Zera Shimshon said previously, can reach such a high madrega, such a high level, that Hashem wants to gaze at them, so to speak. The habata mashma panim el panim, because this word habata, observing, gazing, looking at directly, implies face to face. It's not the type of word that just means to casually glance at or to see from a distance. This implies the closest type of observation. Kedichsiv, as the pasuk says, Vayaster Moshe panav. Moshe hid his face. Ki yore mehabith el ha'elokim, because he was afraid to gaze at Hashem. That pasuk, of course, comes from the Sneh haboer ba'esh, the burning bush episode, in which Moshe covered his face, and he was afraid to stare at this miracle he was seeing and hearing Hashem's voice at that episode. B'schus kiyum haTorah v'hamitzvos. And how do human beings reach a level when Hashem wants to gaze at them, cherishes them, and honors them to such a degree? It's in the merit of fulfilling the Torah and the mitzvos. Dehainu, which is referred to in the pasuk in Yeshaya, ani uneche ruach v'chored al divari. The poor person and the broken-spirited person, meaning a person with tremendous humility. And the person is chored al divari. The person is literally trembling to do my word. The person is totally committed to observing the words of Hashem and following the ratzon Hashem, the will of Hashem. V'daye kro lemeimar, and that pasuk in Yeshaya was very careful to say ve'el zeh, into this one, tahainu ha'olam hazeh. That's an allusion to this world. When it said ve'el zeh, into this one, meaning to this type of person, this exceedingly righteous person, the pasuk used the word zeh there to say we're talking about olam hazeh, human beings, righteous people in this world. Shahare olam ha'elyon, because the upper world, nikra olam haba, is called olam haba. It's not referred to as olam hazeh. So the Zera Shimshon is saying the pasuk wanted to make absolutely sure that no one would think when it talked about Hashem gazing at individuals and cherishing them and loving them and honoring them, that it was talking about malachim. No, it was talking about ve'el zeh, people in this world, in olam hazeh. Again, the tzaddikim, the greatly righteous Torah scholars and totally committed individuals to Hashem's Torah, and to, as the Zera Shimshon said, to bringing chidushim, novel understandings of Torah to the world. So here the Zera Shimshon is going to offer an alternative explanation to this idea that he mentioned in the very beginning of the piece about why some psukim have shamayim first and why some have aretz first before shamayim. So he says, we can also offer something else besides the approach that we've developed in this entire piece. Sometimes, as he said in the beginning, psukim talk about the shamayim before they talk about the aretz, and sometimes they put the aretz first before talking about the shamayim. And at first glance, these things would seem to contradict each other. This seems to be a contradiction, as Chazal actually discuss in the Gemara Maseches Chagiga. They talk about, hey, this doesn't look consistent. Why isn't the Torah consistent? It should always talk about Shamayim before Aretz, or even vice versa. But it shouldn't. Sometimes talk about Shamayim first and sometimes talk about Aretz first. Chazal was sensitive to that problem. Why does it happen? Here's a new possibility, alternative possibility. Dahainu mishum de amrinan b'medrash, because we say in a different medrash in Berashis Rabbah al pasuk, on the pasuk vayishma'u es kol Hashem Elokim mishalech bagon. Adam and Chava heard the sound of Hashem walking in the garden in Gan Eden. Kodem shechata Adam. This referred to before Adam committed the great sin of eating from the Eitz Hadas. Before that sin, they heard Hashem's voice walking in the garden, and that was a manifestation of the Shechina being down on earth. Ikar Shechina hoyisa batachtonim. Before Adam and Chava sinned, the main presence of the Shechina was down on earth. The Imkain, and if so, mitchilas bivriyas ha'olam, from the beginning of the creation of the world, hashamayim hayu yoser chavivim. Shamayim was considered more beloved to Hashem, shahayu smuchim lashchina, and they, the Shamayim, had a closeness to Hashem that didn't exist down in on earth, right? Before Adam and Chava were created, before there were righteous people on the earth, the Shechina stayed only in Shamayim, and that's why the pasuk refers to Shamayim first, because it wants to teach us that the first reference to Shamayim, Hashem and the Shechina were Hashem was more connected to the Shamayim than to the lower realms, to the earth. But after the world was created and man was created, Adam HaRishon was created, bishvilo hoyasa ikara betachtonim. Then, because of Adam HaRishon and his righteousness, the Shechina came to be manifested down on earth. Umishum hachi hiktim haaretz, and that's why the word aretz is put first before Shamayim. The Omar, and the pasuk says, "Biyom asos Hashem Elokim eretz v'shamayim," on the day that Hashem Elohim made the earth and made the Shemayim. So in these psukim, the Zera Shimshon is suggesting an idea, proposing an idea that it's telling us of a transitional situation in the beginning of the world. Before the world was created, and before the creation of the world was completed, the Shekhinah was primarily located in the Shemayim. After Adam and Chava were created, the Shekhinah came down, and that was represented with the sound of the voice of Hashem walking in the garden. And then after the Chet, that changed, and then the Shekhinah went back up to Shemayim. So you have kind of a variation, a changing transitional situation, and that's why some psukim have the word Shemayim first, and some psukim alternatively have the word Aretz first. But if we go back to recap for a moment, the Zera Shimshon started with a very difficult to understand, a very obscure kind of medrash, because it wasn't clear what the connection was between the three psukim. And then he brought in all kinds of midrashim and chazals from Gemaras to explain to us how the three psukim fit beautifully together, and how human beings are given the almost impossible to believe and comprehend gift of being able to reach a level through tremendous discipline, hard work, devotion, and commitment to be considered above the malachim. And that's when they utilize the eidos and chukim and mishpatim, studying Torah and studying all the laws of the Torah and observing all the mitzvahs of the Torah. Human beings are able, the truly righteous tzaddikim are able to reach that incredibly high madrega, that incredibly high level. May we all be zocha in our own way to grow higher and observance and commitment, and to be able to strive to reach higher madrigos, higher levels in our kiyum Torah and mitzvos, and our observance of the Torah and mitzvos. Yasher koach for joining in the learning of the Zera Shimshon this week, and we look forward to learning together again in the Zera Shimshon next week.